Welcome to Been There Done That. This is a show where we talk to high school and college students about their experiences. Today, we have two very unique guests, Khushi Melkote, a graduating senior from Westlake Academy, and Aaryak Kushal, a graduating senior from Kushal High School. They're both rising freshmen at the Kelly School of Business in Indiana this fall. First, could you both just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll go first. Hi, my name is Aaryak, and as right now, I'm just chilling, playing with friends, living life, and looking forward to freshman year.
Okay, hi, I'm Khushi Melkote. I just graduated from Westlake Academy, like Pranav just said. Yeah, same. I'm just kind of chilling this summer.
Yeah, and could you both just describe your high school experience or what you did through high school, extracurriculars, classes, that kind of stuff?
Okay, I guess I'll start. Um, so a lot of my extracurriculars were like music. Yeah, I did music. I did debate for a little bit. And yeah, my high school experience has been, ups and downs.
All right, yeah. So my high school experience, it started off kind of weird with COVID hitting like the last quarter of my freshman year and the entirety of my sophomore year. So I've only been in my high school for like 2 years, my junior and senior year. So that was kind of rough. But it was fun. I did with friends. During sophomore year, we like went out a lot, and that was really fun. But yeah, I think it was pretty unique. I don't think a lot of people would like have the same type of experience as I did.
Yeah, and just speaking on those experiences a little bit more, what what part of those experiences do you think taught you the most for both you and Bushy?
Well, I think the experiences that taught me the most would probably be some of my Boy Scout experiences. They focus a lot on leadership at later levels when you start to enter high school, and that really helped my speaking skills and just things like that. That had a huge impact on me growing up, and that was probably definitely the biggest experience that I had.
I think my biggest experience was so we're a pretty small school and it's all IB. So I had a lot of like heavy course load, a lot of writing to do, which involved a lot of time management with all my extracurriculars because I was extremely involved with like my music and stuff. So I think a lot of like my high school experience was spent like trying to manage all my activities and stuff.
Yeah, and just like you both mentioned, like the kind of difficulty of having to balance all of that workload. What advice would you give a freshman and sophomore on that kind of balance?
Okay, so I would say start off with good habits, you know. Don't try to study for a test like on the last day because sometimes it does work. Like you get great grades on the test, you turn in your homework on time, but it's like at 11:50 and like there's like that added amount of stress that you really don't need. If you just do a little bit every day, I feel like my high school experience would have been like a lot more peaceful and little less like heart attack inducing.
I think for me, the biggest thing I noticed was so I kind of took like my freshman, sophomore year pretty chill because like that was like COVID and I was like, okay, it's this online school. But I think those grades are like they hold you up, especially when you start getting busy and like you take a lot more classes. I think prioritizing like those easy grades and like your freshman, sophomore year are important. So like spend time studying then.
Oh no, 100%. I just remembered my freshman. Had to work really hard to try to make it in the top 10% because my freshman year grades were like I'll tell you something. I think I had like five B's as a semester average and like two A's. And that was not it. So and I didn't take any dual credit too. So I had to like almost max all of my other classes. And that was so much like stress that I just didn't need. Just focus on your freshman and sophomore year classes. That yeah.
Yeah, and kind of speaking on that, like you've already kind of answered this a little bit, but what are some things that you wish you did differently going into high school or like going into college apps?
Um, wish I did differently. I think I would have definitely wanted to take a little bit more time in think about my main personal essay. I feel like my personal essay didn't really speak to who I was, and it was kind of like I regurgitated my resume in like a slightly different format. That's not really what your personal essay should be. Um, try to get something a little bit like personal. That's basically what you want to write about. Some like a topic that's just really close to your heart.
Yeah, I agree with him. My personal essay too, it was like, I don't know, I just picked something that I thought sounded smart, that I thought they'd be looking for. And so I was like trying to like force like something nice about it, and I could not. My short essays were good because I connected with them more, and they actually made me like think about things that I like liked and like appreciated.
Yeah, and so I touched on this at the beginning, and you both mentioned it in your bio, but both of y'all are going to the Business School of Kelly in Indiana. What inspired you to make that decision?
They just have a really nice business program. And it was far away from home. That's always a plus. And yeah, those two, those were basically my two only factors. Like the only in-state schools I applied to, were UT Austin and Rice. So,
So Kelly actually wasn't on my list of like colleges, but like I said, I go to a small school. So when I was talking to my college counselor, him and I are pretty tight. He was like, "Why aren't you applying there?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know this is like an option." So when I looked at it, I saw it was a really good business school. And when I visited it, I actually like genuinely fell in love with it. The people there were so nice, and the campus was just beautiful.
Yeah,
I actually
and
haven't gone yet to Indiana. Well, orientation will be my first time going. We'll see how it is.
well, good luck. And uh, what do you think the clubs or organizations that you were kind of associated with in high school? Which ones of those do you think helped you most with getting accepted?
Okay, so um, I I was a board member for the real estate club at CHS. We basically we tried to get to as many teach people as many people as possible about the about real estate investing and like different types and how you do it and all of that. That was a big part, I think. There's always NHS. There's always I spoke about Boy Scouts. I got my Eagle Scout, so that probably helped a lot. Um, and yeah, volunteer hours. Volunteer hours are important. Anything else? No, that's it.
Okay, so we're an IB charter school, so we focus a lot on academics, so we didn't really have that many clubs. One of them that I joined was debate. That didn't do much for me at school, but I was a part of like an outside of school debate thing. So that really helped me a lot. That helped me like kind of like be open-minded, and like that really helped me with my college essays and stuff. And this one thing at my school that's a really big thing. It's called Forge Tutoring. So it's like as a senior, I had a junior mentee, I guess. And so I was the head of the math department. So I was able to like help them with math. And so I used to hate it. And now I'm like more open to that. And I'm like ready to like see more of that business math in college.
Yeah, and Aaryak, you mentioned your volunteer opportunities. Could you both just tell us a little bit more about what you did in that regard?
Um, I there's this garden, this community garden we have in Capel that I volunteered at some. Then there's with my Boy Scout troop, we have Eagle Scout fundraisers that some Eagle Scouts need money, so we run car washes to help raise that money. There's always volunteer hours there. Um, and through my mom's work. She works at Citibank, and there's like a huge like list of opportunities that they have. Recently we just went to this Memorial Day volunteer opportunity they had at the DFW National Cemetery, and yeah.
So I did a lot of volunteering through like my music projects. So in 10th grade, I had a personal project. So I like sang and like raised like $4,000 for like the DFW Humane Society in St. Jude. And I like to go to like the DFW Humane Society and hang out with the dogs and stuff in my free time because I do have a genuine passion for animals. And I'm also a part of Thai that your mother runs. So yeah, we do a lot of volunteering there with like 5Ks and like with MetroCast services and donations and stuff.
Yeah, and uh, kind of speaking on that a little bit more, what kind of regrets do you guys have about high school? Like, what do you think you would have done differently if you had the time or the knowledge about it?
Well, I think I touched on this before, uh how stressful some parts of my high school experience were. So I would have definitely gone a lot slower, uh, actually taken notes instead of trying to wing it. And yeah, go slower, take notes. Because like if when you go slower and take notes, it like stays in your head. And you don't forget it right after the test. It's just overall better for you rather than like staying up till like one the night prior to the test and just studying. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, my biggest downfall was honestly procrastinating because I used to like gaslight myself into thinking that I would know the things if I studied the night before. So then I'd be up to like 2, 3 in the morning studying it because I was like, this is when I thrive. This is when I understand the material best. But then I'd know it like short term and then I'd forget it and have to restudy it for like a semester exam or something.
Yeah, and I think that's just an important message to anyone in high school, middle school, what have you, even in college right now. So that brings me to my kind of final question here, which is just what do you want to leave people with? Well, like what message do you want people to remember?
Kushi, you want to take this one first? Hold up. Let me give me like 3 seconds to think because that's a big one. All
Here, I got it. I got it.
right, all right.
Okay, so this is pretty cliche, but I think like making like the best of like your entire high school experience, even like the bad parts, like try to like find the good in it. Because when you look back, you don't want to be thinking about like, oh, my high school experience is so bad. Like all I did was like study and like struggle. I think you need to find like a good balance of like having fun and like prioritizing your work.
All right, I think I have mine. Okay, so have like a goal going into freshman year because that's what my brother's doing right now, and he's a rising freshman for CHS, and he really wants to get into the Air Force Academy, and that brings like this like massive sense of like drive and energy that that I really lacked as a student. And I feel like anybody who has like this goal of going to high school would definitely like excel at at what they want to do. And yeah.
Uh, yeah, I know I mentioned that was gonna be the last question. Those were super helpful insights. I do have one more thing, was just like about Kelly's school. Like, what's something else that you like? What's something else that you want people to know about Kelly? Like, what makes it so great?
I feel like it's like a big school, right? There's a lot of alumni there to support you after you graduate. It's also a, a renowned business school. So like companies that would want to hire people would definitely look to you first and foremost.
Yeah, I think the first thing he said about alumni, when I went there to visit, they're talking about how they have the biggest alumni connection. And so typically when you have an internship in your junior or senior year, you typically get like a return offer, which I think is really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, Aaryak, what you mentioned on the opportunities in past college, I think that's something that's definitely needed to consider because a lot of people go to college and they're like, that's it, I'm done. Like, I've
Yeah,
done what I need to do. But you
that's
do definitely need to consider the actual jobs that you will want to take after high school. So in that regard, I think Kelly is awesome for that. And
yeah, college is just the beginning.
oh yeah, and Khushi, I know you're super big on music. You had your other engagement about a year ago. So I just wanted to know, how did you incorporate music into your application or like as a part of your essays?
So I think kind of a lot of my prompts were like, what's your biggest challenge or whatever. So I did have my Aaryak gym as a part of that because as much as I like to sing, I don't like being like, like in the public and like being on the center and the stage. So I talked about like how like my fear of like trying to get over like public speaking and like doing all that. And so yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you both so much. This has been super helpful, and I love the insights that y'all like both brought to the table today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and that's the end of this session of Been Good Done That. Thank you.
No problem.